Good morning, everybody. So I'm working on the exploding box from the template 13. There's also going to be 14 and 15. It's all going to work into this, but I have to finish the matte layers. And I got the squares all done yesterday, but I need to do the hearts today. And if you saw the video yesterday, I don't know if you did or not, but I made my mats and layers bigger. So that means if I use the mats and layers they have for the hearts, they're going to look really small compared to. So what I need to do is come up with a way to... That's going to be big enough. Yeah. Yeah. I need a way to... I have to check what side I used. I did use the other side. This side. That side's too much flour. So I might have to get another page out of here. But I have to make my hearts a little bit bigger. And so I'm a little bit worried about this. But I think I might kind of have it figured out, maybe. We'll see. If I take my stencil and my scoring tool and I stick with the curve, because with the heart, that's going to be the hardest part, right? So, oh, it just slipped. That's not good. Let me... If I do it that way, then that's off. Okay, so here's what I'm going to try doing. Getting the curve right here and then coming down. And then instead of coming up here, I'm going to come down, just straight down, and come to the score line for the card, and then come down. So that I think is going to work. And the best way to do that is to do it and then cut it out and find out. Before I do more, I want to make sure this is going to work. So I'm going to come down. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to put it on here and see. And it's a little off. Well, might not be. It looks like I didn't cut it right there. So let's trim that. So I'm going to say that it seems off. It doesn't seem right. I'm going to go ahead and use, I think I'm going to use it. See, it seemed okay this way, but the other way. guess I'm just not coming down enough, so I need to come down enough. But I need to also kind of trim this a little bit more. But I want to be careful. I don't want to trim it too much. Let's try it now. Okay, so I'm going to go with this. But what I'm going to do now, instead of coming up with a bunch of different ones, this is now my pattern. So I need 1, 4, 8 of them. That's the hard part, is doing 8 of them. So what I'm probably going to do, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to get another sheet of paper. Instead of trying to use this scrap, I'm going to come in and get another sheet of the paper. And I've got this one, and I need to do 8 of these, and then I need to flip it over and do 8 of those. And the reason I need to flip it over is because these hearts, there's this side and this side. So if I made them all this way, then when I came to do this, I wouldn't have anything. Well, that would almost work if I smooth that out. That makes me wonder if I should just smooth that out and just make them. No, I'm going to go ahead and stick to my plan. So let me move this to the side. So I need to do 8 in this direction and then 8 flipped over. And I'm wondering 2 at a time, so let me do 4. And I'm just going to trace them. And then I'm going to need to cut inside that line. There's one. Make sure I can see it. There's 2. There's 3. And here's 4. Okay. So now what I want to do, I don't want to cut 8 of them out. So I'm going to cut along the edge of these. And then I'm going to cut another one of these out. That's going to be the same size, and then I'll cut 2 at a time. It's a lot of work. This box is gonna be a lot of work. Let me just try to cut this kind of straight. Okay, so now I've got 2 strips. And hopefully I'm going to cut that off to make that easier. I need to cut on the inside of that just because otherwise it's making it bigger. All right. So here's 2 of them. And because I'm using a thinner paper, it's not too bad to cut 2 of them. Now, if I went with a thicker paper, just so you know, because if you decide to do a thicker paper, then you always have the risk. I didn't cut that very straight. Ooh, I missed that right there too. You always run the risk of your paper kind of shifting. Does that make sense? And then your cuts aren't going to be the same. But usually if you stick with a thinner paper, it won't really be an issue. The thing is to try to keep them as much the same as we can. So there's those 2. Okay, now I need 8. Going in the other direction. So I'm going to do this upside down. And I'm going to trace my 4 of them. It's going to seem a little weird. So I'm just going to do the same thing I did before. Okay. All right. So I'll cut this strip. And one more strip. I don't know why, but it's always better when it's on that side. Seems like it anyways. So now I might get a little bit of that flour and stuff in there. I'm not too worried about that. It'll be just a little bit. And it'll match the paper because it all come from the same pack. All right. So now I'm ready to cut these out. And the inside of the line. Just so did I say the reason the inside of the line is because when I traced it, I made it that little bit bigger. So to keep it kind of the same size, I want to go to the inside of that line. So I don't know how much more time we're gonna have. I didn't think about it, how long this would take, but you know, a lot of new people watch the channel, and what I mean by new, I mean new to paper crafting. And so getting the tips helps them, and I don't mean spending the time on the tips. Or doing this stuff so they can see what I'm actually doing, understand it. So I am inside the line, but just really almost at the line. Because all I want to do is take away that little bit of extra space that tracing it gives it. So anytime you trace something, that line is a little bit bigger, right? Because it always traces to the outside. So to keep it the same size, just trim right at where the original line probably was, right inside the line. All right. Now, if you have a die that'll do this, man, don't spend your time doing this. If you have the die. Because if you take a heart die and just cut it in half, you can do the same thing. So now I should have all of them because they're all doubled. So I should have all of them. Enough for inside and enough for outside. Okay. So we're going to glue these down now. So if you were watching when I pulled out my fine one, I did get it pulled out with some pliers, but I don't know how good that is. So I'm just going to get these glued down. And because it's an exploding box, you might just want to try to stick with lighter papers for your mats and layers anyways, just because you don't want it to get too bulky. And also, your glue can add bulk, kind of. Makes it stronger or stiffer. So, you might not want to put too much glue. You want to make it stick, but just don't want to get carried away with it. All right. And these ones. So I'm going to do this really quick. I'm going to try to do these really quick. Maybe a little closer to the crease is what I need, maybe. But you don't want to be too close to the crease because then you can interrupt the way it folds. So. Oh, I put the original on somewhere, didn't I? 'Cause I got one left still, so somehow I grabbed that original one somewhere. Okay, so that's that layer. Now, do we want another layer? Because another layer is going to add some bulk. So right now it's still pretty good folded up in there. So we can just do it like that and just have that. Or we can add another layer. And I think what I'm going to do is, I think because these are not going to really show when the box is closed, right? These are the outside ones. Excuse me. These outside ones really are not going to show when the box is closed, and then when the box is opened, they're not really going to show. So I think what I'm going to try now, and I do want to give you the chance to see what the original looks like. So I'm just going to do it, but I'm going to do it for the insides only. And I think I might go with a little bit of different paper, so it's okay. And if you want to stick with the same, that's fine. But I think I'm going to kind of want a different paper. Let me see. That's the one that's there. There's one that's darker. Okay, I'm going to use this. With the little flowers. You know, only need 4, and guess how many is here? 4. But I could get away with just doing 2. So that's what I think I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna use their matte layer. For this one. Okay, so there's 1. Make sure I can see it. Yep. And 2. And make sure you're doing the matte layer one. I almost used the wrong line. So we're gonna do this. All right. So I'm gonna cut this square where I've got these. I don't know if it's just my imagination, but this sheet of paper actually feels thinner than the other sheet did. It shouldn't. It should be the same, but for some reason, it feels thinner. Kind of odd, but. And I'm just gonna cut along. Okay. Now I'm gonna cut these out. So don't forget that you have to have the 2 different sides because they do face different. So if you're using double-sided and it's, I couldn't do that one way too much. It's the same pattern on both sides. You don't have to worry about it. Just, just cut. But, because you can flip it over. But if it's double-sided, not the same on the other side, or not double-sided, You need to make sure that you do your 2 sides. I'm gonna cut these all off because they just in my way, making it harder to cut. Okay. I can see that I didn't quite get that right. Okay. All right. Oh. All right. I might have cut a couple of them a little bit on the short side, but we'll find out. So these are the insides. I want to make sure that I'm doing the inside ones. And I'm just going to start gluing them. And you can see the difference between my size and theirs, and it shouldn't be too much. Ooh, that one's not really any at all. Wow. I'm probably gonna have to cut them all down a little bit. I should have checked it before I put glue on it. I really thought there would be more flowers showing. All right. I'm just gonna trim it up a little bit. So I did all of that, and there's not that much different in the size. Oh. I should be able to cut them all down at the same time. I don't want to cut that one anymore. That one. So I'm going to line these up. Here, I thought I cut some of them too small, and the answer to that is no. So maybe you do want to cut on the line for that first layer. Depends how much you want matted and layered. Depends on the size of mats you want, of your mats that you want. See, some of these turned out real good. All right. Get them glued down. I'm not one that's going to be able to just up and cut a half a heart shape. So for me, I really kind of need that. template to get the shape that I want. I really thought we would at least be able to get the next one cut out, but as long as this has taken me that may not be happening today. How long? Yeah, 36 minutes, 37 minutes. So, oh, there's my other one. Oh. Yeah, I can't pull it up. It's going to tear it up. Now, if you're not doing a video, I find when I'm not doing a video, things just turn out better. You know, that's always the way when somebody's watching you do something, right? Even though there's nobody physically here watching me, it still sometimes feels that way. Because I know the video and the video's going out, whatever. So, there we go. So we have this, and see, that little bit of more bulk really, you'd be surprised what one little layer of paper will do. So now I'm glad I didn't do these other ones because they folded in, so they wouldn't come together as much, and it might even mess the box up. But with these outside layers being the ones that I did, not outside, inside layers, they fold in, so it's not an issue with them being too thick. It's still going to fold nice, and that's going to be important, I think, when we make our lid. We're going to want it to fit, and when we put other things in, all of this still has to fit. So, you know, everything still has to fit, and we may have to do like this, where these are all on one side, whatever, because we've got to do this inside box still, so there has to be room for that, and the lid has to go on, so we can't let it go too big for that. So, my edges, my corners are still coming together. It looks like there's going to still be plenty of room, but if I added this other layer, that might change things. And you have to decide, where do you want it to be more decorative? To me, there. And this still looks good, right? It still looks good, but it's just that part's not going to be so noticeable. So, here we are. So, tomorrow we will do the next template, which I believe the next one is going to be the inside box. So we just figure that out, and then we'll do the lid. Hopefully the inside box isn't going to take this much time. I don't know. We'll see. I do want you to know what's involved in doing it. So that's why I don't want to do everything ahead of time, because then how are you going to know? If I do it in my video and it takes half hour and I've got the box made and layers on, and and you think, and you've got 45 minutes, and you think, oh, I could do it in 45 minutes. Well, maybe that's not really feasible. So at least this way you know. At my rate of speed, how long it actually is really going to take me. All right. Tuesday, so everybody have a blessed day. I hope it goes well. And if you like my videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you join me again. Bye-bye now.